All right, welcome back to the No Huddle Podcast College Football Edition. I know it's a little not the most timely. It's been about a week and a half since the national championships happened. Some time to kind of debrief, get over my sorrows. Miami was so close, didn't end up getting it done. Indiana defeats Miami 27-21 on Hard Rock Stadium on Martin Luther King. And it's just truly an unbelievable story. This turnaround is unlike anything we've ever seen before in American sports, from being the worst team ever in college football history. I mean, by record-wise, they still are, but they have a Natty now, so they don't care, to undefeated national champions. So it was just a truly great story. It was a great game and a great finish to an incredible season. So we're going to start off getting into the game, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the playoffs at the end. It's going to be a bit of a shorter episode for those tuning in. But I'd like to just start off by saying 3 rules of national championships, or bowl games for that matter. 2 rules, but there's going to be a third rule for the national championship, because these bowl games, and especially the national championship, they must be played outside. It's just better. The environment's better. It looks way cooler. It's more authentic rather than a dome stadium. Like Hard Rock Stadium compared to the Peach Bowl, or where the Peach Bowl was, where last year's national championship was, Mercedes-Benz Stadium. It's not the same. NFL stadiums and college stadiums, they feel different. The Rose Bowl is not the same as the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Glendale, even though it's an NFL stadium, and I guess Hard Rock Stadium is an NFL stadium too, the open air feel is just so much better. And 2, they got to be played on grass. Grass football is just entirely better, and this kind of goes hand in hand with having it outdoors or indoors. There are some outdoor stadiums with turf, but there are no indoor stadiums with grass, really. So those are my 2 rules, and the third thing is, people have been debating online whether the black end zones are good or bad. I happen to love them. I think it's sets a tone for the national championship. The score bug, not this year, but sometimes it's always been black and gold. It sets a tone of you've made it. This is legit. So I'm a huge fan of that. People are like, it's terrible. I happen to love it. I think it's really classy, and I think it sets a nice feel. So we'll get into the game now. The game kind of started off slow. It was reminiscent of the Miami-Ohio State game. Both teams started off slow. Miami goes 3 and out. Sorry, excuse me. They both pick up 1 first down. Both teams pick up 1 first down, but then they punt very quickly. And you're like, ooh, this Miami, when the offense sputtered, you're like, this Indiana defense came to play. And then the main thing we were really wondering is, can the Miami defense hold up with Mendoza? And after that drive, they're like, yeah, we can. So that was the first thing I saw, okay, we're actually going to have a decent game here. And then after that, Miami goes 3 and out again. Could not convert on third down. They were 0 for 8 on third downs until the fourth quarter, and that's a huge reason why they lost this game. But Indiana goes on their first legit drive, and it's a 25-yard pickup on a 1st and 20 from Omar Cooper after a holding penalty. So, Miami, had them on the ropes, and they just give it right back to them. But they ended up holding strong to force them to a field goal after Indiana kept marching. Huge pass breakup by O.J. Frederick in the end zone to prevent a touchdown that could have gone for 7. But they hold them to a field goal. And there's 3 consecutive 3 and outs. So Miami, Indiana, Miami, 3 and outs. It's really, really trench-based football. You can call it boring, but if you can appreciate a good battle, then you probably enjoyed this first half, because it was pretty entertaining, even though it wasn't the most high scoring. The defenses were holding them strong. And then Indiana has the ball. They're moving. They have a 3rd and 13. Ruben Bade jumps off sides, and it's totally unlike him. He's normally very disciplined, but it was an uncharacteristic mistake. They try and go for the free play, but it's incomplete. 3rd and 8 now. I believe it was Kalen Black. They run a draw play on 3rd and 8, and they pick up the first down. Completely caught Miami off guard. The game went for 20. And I'm going to get into why. One of the reasons, I'm normally not big on coaches win games. Normally the players win games, and that's always been my philosophy. Coaches help players win games. Not today. The play calling and the decision-making by this Indiana coaching staff completely won them the game. It was such a gutsy game, play-calling-wise, but we'll get into the 4th and 5. But the decision-making that they made truly won them the game. It's unbelievable. Curt Cignetti deserves a lot of respect. I believe he truly won them this natty, more than any player on the field did, besides Ethan O'Connor. But just a truly, truly great play call there. And then Charlie Becker caught a pass, ran through the Miami defense, thought he scored a touchdown, stepped out of the 5. 2 plays later was Riley. I forgot to say this name. I think it's Nowakowski, the tight end. He took it on a fullback dive and punched in for 10-0. And then after that, Miami went on their best drive of the half. They were 4th and 1 on their own 34. They decided to go for it, which I love from Cristobal. I think it's a great decision. But Mark Fletcher goes up the left side A gap, I believe. It gets stuffed, but they push the pile and he gets an extra gear to pick up the first down. Barely. And honestly, if he didn't get that, Indiana's within striking distance, that could have been the game. You go down 17-0 before half, and Indiana gets the ball, that's probably game over. But it kept going. Beck hit C.J. Daniels for 25 yards. That put them into Indiana territory the first time they were in Indiana territory all game. And then on 4th and 2, from the Indiana 32, they have the decision to kick it or go for it. I like going for it. What do you have to lose? Like, this field goal isn't guaranteed, and the offense was moving the ball well. You can give it to Fletcher. You can roll out. You can give it to Tony and the Malley Cat. Like, I would have gone for it. They made a decision to kick, and I guess hindsight 2020, obviously, but Carter Davis hits the right upright. More kicking woes for Miami. And you slowly, he was so good earlier in the year, but you slowly see this is the 4-11 Carter Davis at FAU that came into the season. So, again, a questionable decision to bring him in with Bert Auburn. Another not great kicking transfer, but it really, really was dicey. And he hits the upright. It's no good. And Indiana tried a Hail Mary, but it was out of bounds. So they go into the half 10-0, and Miami's on the ropes because they haven't moved the ball all game. The India defense is suffocating, and the defense looks like it's bend, don't break. So if the defense can't keep holding them to punts, like, they're going to crack. Like, even they're going to break through, because even if they keep putting up like 3 field goals, I mean, the score would be 19-0, and like, you'd be out of the game. It kind of feels like the Texas Tech Oregon game, where Oregon was like, the offense wasn't great, but the Texas Tech defense like held them, but only for so long. So it kind of had that feel of like Indiana's just going to wear them out. And then so Indiana starts with the ball in the second half. The first drive, they end up facing a 3rd and 17, and Dylan Black runs like a draw up the middle, picks up 6 yards maybe. Marquise Lightfoot barely brings him down with the face mask. Brutal. And if you've watched Miami teams in the past, which I have a lot, you just know that it's these type of penalties that it's always been a theme. They are the most undisciplined, good team that you will ever see. Like, they can't make these mistakes, and especially the national championship, but it's all they do, really. Is you saw it under Manny Diaz and Mark Richt as well, of like, they were kind of like idiots, especially the defense as well. And it's another instance of just a poor decision. They got very, very lucky, because on the ensuing set of downs, they forced the punt. Ruben Bain had a hell of a game. Same with Mesidor. He forces the punt on 3rd down. He chases down Mendoza and drops him for a loss of 8. So that was a huge, huge recovery for the Miami defense. And they force a punt instantly. And then the Canes get the ball back, and then we got a game. First play, Malachi Tony just picks up 5 yards. The second play, though, is when you see that Miami run game truly take off. And it hadn't really taken off besides the first drive where Fletcher had like a couple of nice runs. It didn't really like continue after that. So there was kind of an issue of like, what are they going to do on offense if they can't run the ball and Beck can't throw? Because Beck's always had his issues of like, he can't throw down the field. Like, there's a lot of checkdowns. Like, it's not a very explosive offense besides that like Keelan Marion bomb against Ole Miss. So Fletcher takes it outside and finds a burst 57 yards to the house untouched. And it really was amazing, because it's a sign of life for Miami. They're back in the game. It's only a 3-point game now. So it's not going to take much to put them back in it. Back in it. Obviously, they're back in it. It's not going to take much to give them the lead. But it's also like, okay, like, we can breathe. Like, we can hang in there. Like, it was a good thing. It was like, is Miami going to be able to hang in? A lot of people said yes, but also a lot of people said no. I mean, Saban said yes, so that was nice. But just, wow. And it was electric as well. And you wouldn't want it for any other guy. He just truly embodies what it means to be a Miami Hurricane. So great for Mark Fletcher, 57 yards to the house, and it's a 10-7 game. Indiana goes 3-and-out on the next drive. So like, you have, and then Mo Torre, who, by the way, we'll get into that, 8th season. He tore his ACL a couple times, had a couple of medical red shirts and COVID as well. That's still crazy. And then there's a couple more 3-and-outs on both sides. And Indiana ends up punting. But it's like, okay, whatever. That's not important. Malachi Tony is the punt returner. He is also a former high school quarterback. He played high school quarterback for his team like a couple of games, and he has a cannon of an arm. He catches this punt on his own 5, and everyone is like, what is going on? And everyone's like, and he gets tackled at his own 7, and everyone's like, what the hell? And then we see it on replay, like after the game. They were going to run a trick play. They were going to have a lateral on the other side of the field. I don't know if it was Keelan Marion or Jacoby Thomas. Sorry, Keelan Marion or Keontae Scott. But there was a guy who was on the other end of the field waiting for the pass. The punt was just too good. Special teams was a huge theme in this game. The missed field goal, the great coverage from Indiana, a great punt, and then we'll get into the block punt. It was just unfortunate because 3 plays later, the ball's in their own end zone. So Miami goes 3 and out, and Alex Ballman, I don't know if he's normally on the punt unit. I mean, he's the backup tight end because Elijah Lofton was injured, completely whiffs his block, and Mikel Kamara goes right by him. I mean, he could have tackled Dylan Joyce, the punter. I mean, it wasn't even close. It's not like he got a fingertip on it. It caught him on his bicep when he blocked the punt. So I don't like to single out players for making mistakes, but especially in a championship game, you need to put in effort. And that just seemed like a total lack of effort by Alex Ballman. And it was very, very disappointing to see because it's so unavoidable. And then Mikel Kamara blocks the punt. Isaiah Jones scoops it up in the end zone for a touchdown. You're down 17-7. That's the game-winning touchdown. You lost by 6. That's what part of the reason you lost. Another horrible miscue for Miami, just undisciplined as well. And special teams completely turning the tide of this game. 3 separate plays now. Completely inexcusable, unacceptable performance right there. You did have one nice catch in the fourth quarter, but Alex Ballman, it was just not a great showing from you when we needed you to step up for Elijah Lofton. It's just disappointing. That's all it was. It was disappointing. And then Miami gets the ball back. They convert their first 3rd down of the game. This is in the 4th quarter. So, that's nuts. 22-yard pass to C.J. Daniels. A great improvisation from Beck. He was scrambling to his right. O-line picks up a couple of blocks, goes back to his left a little, and finds Daniels for a huge gain. Then 2 plays later, Malachi Tony picks up 20 yards on a swing pass, gets them inside the 10-yard line, and then Mark Fletcher walks in untouched 2 plays later for his second touchdown of the game. All right. Mark Fletcher walks in for his second touchdown of the game, also untouched. Back to 17-14. And Mendoza is not the greatest Heisman winner of all time. He was very good. He was the best player this season. But this drive was Heisman worthy. It is the ensuing drive is the greatest drive in Indiana football history. And he put the team on his back entirely. Chunk plays to get them deep into Miami territory. Swing pass to Omar Cooper for 18 yards. That was actually his first completion of the second half. The swing pass to his left. But eventually they're faced with 4th and 5 in the Miami 37. I love the decision to go for it. It's too risky to kick. You're not really going to punt, and it's still short yardage. And this entire drive, they picked on Ethan O'Connor, who was a backup cornerback for Miami, and he had a rough game. And Indiana has always loved their back shoulder passes. You know, they get a little handsy, not pass interference by any means. And whether it's Becker or Cooper, they always know when to turn around, and Mendoza places it perfectly. And it was Charlie Becker on this play, picks up 19 yards on Ethan O'Connor and a huge first down. And that is just a backbreaker for the Miami defense. I mean, you get off the field, you're only down 3. You give the offense, who's buzzing, a chance to take the lead or tie the game. The 4th down conversion that happened next is the Heisman moment, even though it was after he won the Heisman. 4th and 5 from the 12. I don't know how you make the decision to go for this. No idea. Curt Cignetti with the call of a lifetime to go for this on 4th down. It's risky. You're in field goal range, and if you get it, it's a total clown show because Miami, again, their offense was buzzing. Mendoza takes on a QB draw, unbelievable, runs through the Miami defense, dives and scores, and also runs through Wesley Bissaint. And why that's significant is when Miami played Cal last year, on a third down with 4 minutes to go, Mendoza got blasted by Besant. It was a borderline targeting. It wasn't called. Miami got the ball back and scored the game-winning touchdown. And here's his revenge moment, because he's scoring the game-winning touchdown right in the face of the person who prevented the upset last year. So, an incredible play by Mendoza. I mean, he's so tough. He's so resilient. It's a shame he's going to go to the Raiders. But in the face of the person who stopped the crazy win last year, I mean, that's got to feel pretty good. Miami is down 10 again. I mean, it's just the theme. They can't seem to get over the edge. I mean, when they get the ball back, they're in instant trouble. I mean, more undisciplined, taking false start penalties, and it's just really, really unfortunate because in crunch time, they took a delay of game before their potential game-winning drive as well. So, like, really, really unfortunate. And then, actually, the one time Alex Ballman did contribute was on 3rd and 15 when Beck found him for a gain of 20. Huge play to keep their season alive, because otherwise you'd have to go for it on 4th down. You'd kind of be screwed there. And then we have the Malachi Tony show. They had targeted him earlier in the game, but he hadn't really shown up, and it's finally his time. Beck finds him it's like right at the line to gain on a first down, catches it, runs for 30 more yards, picks up a gain of 41 in total. So the electric speed of Tony is what really changes it again. And then 2 plays later, it's the same pitch pass that they ran against A&M. They couldn't seem to stop it. Takes it out to the right side and scores with about maybe 7 minutes to go. And they're down 3 again. It's 24-21. So Miami is never out of this game. They keep finding their chance back. And then Hoosiers are obviously in clock drain mode. Mendoza converting huge 3rd downs, especially picking on Ethan O'Connor again, another back shoulder ball, 19 yards. You're like, oh, Miami just isn't going to do it. Like, they can't seem to stop them on any chance. There was never a clutch down, whether it was a huge 3rd down or a huge 4th down, that Miami seemed to stop. Indiana always had their number the entire game, and Miami couldn't stop it. And I guess when you're like the team of destiny that Indiana was, like, this great story, like, these things just fall your way. So, like, you can't really get upset about it. Like, it's fun. Like, all the adversity that they faced this year, like, this was like the least of it. But it's fun that they were so clutch, because we barely saw them, besides Ohio State, play a close game. So the first time we've seen them in a month and a half play a close game, they shined on the brightest stage. Every difficult down, they won. And eventually, they're 1st and 10 from 23. Roden Hemby picks up 9 yards, not 10, for 2nd and 1. And then Carter Smith commits a false start. The only undisciplined, so far, that we saw from them was in crunch time, the biggest moment of the game. They're 2nd and 6, and they only pick up 1 yard on 2nd down and 1 yard on 3rd down. They have to kick. There's a chance. The Miami burns their timeouts, but they have a minute 40 to have the game-winning touchdown on their home field when when half the people thought that they shouldn't be in the playoffs. Like, this was the drive of a lifetime for Carson Beck. And it's still, Miami is such a mess. Even when you think that, like, oh, they're going to have their, like, championship moment, they can't get out of their own way. They take a delay of game penalty before they snap the ball, on 1st down. How careless do you have to be to not know the play, to not recognize the play clock that you have to snap the ball? Like, it's unbelievable. How can you do that? And then they start off an incomplete pass, and then there's a roughing the passer. So there's your second instance of Indiana's lack of discipline potentially biting them in the biggest stage. You saw the false start. You saw the roughing the passer. They didn't really have that many penalties. I mean, I could pinpoint a couple holdings earlier in the game. I think that maybe 2. I think that might have been their only defensive penalty. If that might sound crazy, but they didn't really take any penalties. And their discipline is something that they've always prided themselves on. So it was shocking to see. And I agree with the call as well. And then Beck dumped it off to Marty Brown for 11 yards, hit Tony and Daniels for a 1st down. And there's like 40 seconds left, and Miami's on the Indiana 40. And IU was on the ropes here. They called timeout. It was a very strong timeout. I believe it was a second and a half. They already burned one. And it was smart because they needed to regroup. And boy, did it pay off. Beck dropped back. Look, the read was there. And I know there was another safety coming, but like, if Beck threw a good ball, it would have been a touchdown. He didn't have to throw. This didn't have to be the play. There were 40 seconds left. The clock was stopped. Like, you didn't have to do this. But the decision to make the throw is not the issue. The issue was underthrowing him by 15 yards. And Carson Beck has done everything for this Canes team this year. And I'm no way blaming Carson Beck for the loss. It's just an unfortunate way to go out. Throws the ball, undercut by Jamari Sharp, who goes down, picks it off, goes down, and Indiana wins the game. And yeah, the decision was not a bad one. The execution was poor. There were a couple people open on the play. It seemed like it was his only read. He was the only place he was looking. It's just a shame because that could have been one of the best moment in college football since Devonta Smith caught the touchdown against Georgia. We haven't had any close national championships. That was the last one-score game, and it would have been really special if they were able to make it happen. But props to Indiana. I mean, it's just an incredible season, an incredible game. It was such a hard-fought game by both teams, so like you can't really be upset. But what's interesting is that the Sharp family is at the forefront of two Miami Natty losses. Jamari Sharp is the person who intercepted Carson Beck to win the game. His uncle, Glenn Sharp, was a Miami defensive back who was the person that got called for pass interference against Ohio State in overtime in 2002. Ohio State scored a touchdown on that drive and ended up winning it in double overtime, 31-24. But it's unbelievable. It's like such a small world that's happened twice to the Canes. I think this game was won by coaching. The decisions Curt Cignetti made to go for it on multiple fourth downs, phenomenal. The play calling, I don't know if he calls plays or the offensive coordinator calls plays. Some of the play call, the draw, unbelievable play call. The 3rd and 8 draw with Kalon Black to pick up a first down for 20 yards, unbelievable. The decision to call timeout before the interception, unbelievable. Everything that you'd want from a coach to do, like make the correct decision, Cignetti does it. When have you been like watched an Indiana game this year and been like, wow, that was a mistake, or that they shouldn't have done that? Like, the coaching is what won them this game. And I'm a firm believer that players win games until now. And I'll still go with that, but like coaching won Indiana this title. Fernando Mendoza was good, and he only threw for like 180 yards. Didn't throw for a touchdown. He ran for a touchdown, but like did not perform like at an elite level. It was all Cignetti. Cignetti won them this game. And like props to him. He's going to go down as one of the greatest coaches of this generation. Probably the best coach since Saban if they stay on this trajectory. Unbelievable performance from him. And I'd love to be like, oh yeah, they're not going to be back. Because Josh Hoover is probably not going to win the Heisman. But like, who thought Fernando Mendoza was going to be this good? No one. So like, they have the ability to do it again. Who says they can't? They could be back. They could go another 16-0. And the best part of them going 16-0 is Steve Sarkisian early in the year was like, because of this new era, we're not going to see a team go 16-0. And Curt Cignetti is like, hold my Hoosier beer. Great interview, by the way. Indiana defying all odds. Everyone, like, we didn't think there was going to be a 16-0 team. We didn't think Indiana was going to be back. Cignetti's a legend for this. And so who's to say that Josh Hoover and Nick Marsh can't do it for them next year? They totally can. And Miami, I mean, they gave it their all. I mean, would have been the greatest playoff run or run into a national championship that you could possibly imagine, playing the 7-2, 6-1 seed. But it wasn't to be. It wasn't meant to be. Just stupid mistakes, lack of discipline at times, the punt return. The punt block, poor execution in the first half, only crossing midfield once. So yeah, it's disappointing. I don't think they'll be back in the Natty. I think they will be back in the playoffs. I think they have the best shot to win the ACC. I just don't think they can win because it takes time to build in the trenches. And although they're getting reinforcements for their talent, Jackson Cantwell coming in as the number 3 prospect overall, Damon Wilson second, coming in from Missouri to replace Bain, and they have another hole with Mesidor. I mean, they have talent. Armando Blunt and Justin Scott can fill. And it is a big deal to get Akeem Moton back. But I don't think they have what it takes. The offense will be electric. The offense will be the best in the nation, probably. Darian Mensah, Malachi Tony, Mark Fletcher, Cooper Burgate. Like, they're going to be an elite offense. It's just, Can the trenches hold up? I trust Mario, but like at the moment, it's a bit dicey. But that offense is going to be so much fun next year. So it was a phenomenal end to a phenomenal season. We finally got a close national championship. Miami covered 8.5 on the spread. It was an all-timer. The last thing that we're going to talk about, because we'll have more like mini episodes come out in the next weeks or so, to keep it going. And we'll do reels and shorts on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. So we're not done with college football. But the 12-team playoff. I'm so glad that the 12-team playoff is staying how it is. I think it's perfect. I don't see a need for an expansion. I don't need to see arguing which is the best 3-loss team or which three 3-loss teams are better than the others. Like, doesn't make much sense to me. I think the auto bids are weird now. I don't like that. Giving 4 auto bids to the 4 Power 4 winners is weird. It would my way. This is how I'd set it up. You keep the same auto bids of the 5 best conference champions. But if you're a conference champion not ranked in the top 12, you have to play a play-in game with the 13th, 14th, or 15th best team on the weekend of the Army-Navy game. Not during the Army-Navy game, but on that weekend, whether it be Friday, Saturday night, or Saturday at 12. Because I don't think we should be rewarding shitty teams to make the playoffs, because we could have seen, that means Duke would have made the playoffs over JMU and Miami. Actually, sorry, not Miami. But like, that's crazy. They were 8-5. That doesn't sit right with me. And then there's Notre Dame. And Notre Dame may be the most entitled, like, babyish program for weaseling their way in to this agreement where if they finish in the top 12, they automatically get in. It's ridiculous. That means they would have made it over Miami, a team they lost to, and Miami went to the national championship. How on earth is this fair? It's not in the slightest. And all you need to do to put your money where your mouth is just join a conference. It's not that hard. Join the ACC. You already play 5 teams for them a year. Miami made all of their prize money, and they kept it for themselves. So what's the incentive for you not to join? Because everyone was like, Notre Dame kept all their prize money from last year. So did Miami. What's your point? What argument can be made for them not joining a conference? They play in the ACC for every other sport. Why doesn't the ACC just kick them out for basketball and baseball? Like, it's ridiculous. Join a conference. If I were the committee, and if they were going to be ranked at 11 or 12 and potentially pass the 10 seed, I'd just rank them at 13. Screw you. You don't deserve it. Why are you special? Because you're too good for a conference. You're not. Not at all. And I really hope that they falter and miss the playoffs. I don't think they will, because their schedule, besides Miami, is a cakewalk. They play, was it 8 or 9 teams that were won 4 games or less? It's ridiculous. SMU, Navy, and Miami, I think, are the only teams that won 8 or more games. It's unbelievable. So, yeah, that's my take on the 12-team playoff. And that's all we're going to get to. We're going to do more episodes, but if you're still tuning in, thank you so much for an incredible year of listening, engagement. We really appreciate you. From Jonah here doing college football, I know Ansh is doing this, covering the Super Bowl next week. And after that, we will still get content up, whether it be free agency, transfer portal. I know I'm going to do some features on the NIL, and we'll definitely do collaborations when it comes to mock drafts and who's best fit for where. So this is not the end, at least for now. I mean, when it gets to summertime, we'll see. We'll eventually bring it back up. But thank you for tuning in. It's been an incredible season. We're so glad for how well this has started and taken off. And yeah, thank you so much. We'll see you next week. Go Deeks, as we always end it off, and go Canes.